All right, welcome to the next lesson. This is rent charge evaluation. So, this is a secondary way for you to evaluate a quote. I still want you to use the 1 to 2% scale as your primary evaluation. That's the easier calculation to do, but this is a next level type of evaluation of the quote you'll be getting. This will be helpful when you're not able to get any dealer to give you any reasonable quote, and it just seems like the payments are so high. This can help you figure out how much of that payment is the finance charge, or we call it in leasing the rent charge, as we previously discussed. So if the bank or finance company is taking just a huge portion of the payment every month, it's going to be really hard to get a payment that's low enough that you'll like it on this car at all in the current market or with the current lease program that the leasing company is offering. So this rent charge evaluation is what you can do if you want to see how much of the payment is rent. All right, so first, and we're going to have several examples. I got my glasses on so we can do some math together. So here, we're going to use the lease payment quote you get, the total price of the car, including taxes and fees, so the total amount you're going to pay for the car, and the residual value to figure out how much of the lease payment is the rent. So here's how the math works, and we're going to put some numbers to this right after this initial example. So we take that total price of the car, and then we subtract from it the residual value. So that's how far down you're paying from the starting price to the end residual. The depreciation amount is how much you have to pay down the actual car during the 36-month lease. Then we're going to take the actual lease payment, the amount you're paying monthly, and we're going to multiply it by the 36 months you're going to pay that. And that's going to give you a larger number. That's going to be the total amount you're actually going to pay. So you look at those two numbers, you say, okay, the car only has to be paid down at this amount, but I'm paying this larger amount. Well, the difference is how much is the rent. So you're going to take the total amount you pay, the lease payments times 36, minus the depreciation amount, the price minus residual that you did on the first one, and that'll give you the total rent charge for the entire 36-month contract. You can then take that total rent charge, divide it by 36 because there's 36 months, and that'll give you the monthly rent charge. You can then compare that monthly rent charge to whatever quote they gave you to see how much of this payment is this rent charge. And if it's a big portion of it, then it's going to be hard to find a good deal on that car, just because so much money is going to the bank or the leasing company of that payment. And that's going to be happening a lot in the current market in early 2023. I know leasing deals are not really being supported across the board, but that's the beauty of this course. You're going to be able to figure this out. You're going to be able to shop around. You're going to be able to change brands. And that's why we're doing this. So let's move on to some numbers to that so I can give you a better example, help you understand. All right. So here we're going to use an example with a car that has a total price with tax and everything included of $40,000, a residual value of $22,000, and a lease payment of $700. So if we take that total price and we subtract the total price of 40,000 minus $22,000 of residual, we're going to have a depreciation amount, or how much we have to pay the car down, of $18,000. But if we take our payment of $700 and we multiply that by the 36 months, we're actually paying over the 3-year lease $25,200. So we have to pay the car down by $18,000, but we're paying a total of $25,200. Subtract those two numbers, and that'll give us our rent charge. So we're going to be paying a rent charge of $7,200 total for the 36-month lease. So we take the $7,200 total divided by the 36 months, and that gives us a $200 per month rent charge. Ouch. So that's not good. That's a lot of money going to the bank. $200 a month times 36 is $7,200 that this bank or leasing company wants for you to be able to drive this car. That's a lot. It's going to be hard to get the payment down much. And if you look back at the payment breakdown, so the depreciation is this 18,000. If you divide that by 36, that'll give you 500. So $500 of the payment is the depreciation. The $200 is the rent, and that added together gives us the total amount of $700 lease payment. And if you do the 1 to 2% scale on this, you get a 1.8% deal. And that you would have already figured out this is not a good deal without ever doing this breakdown. But doing this will just give you more information, and it'll show you, okay, hey, the leasing company, they just want too much money. I may need to switch and pick a different car and see if there's another brand that's supporting their lease deals a little better. And then I wanted to show you a real world example with an actual quote that I got doing this exact same calculation. I just want to do it one more time to really help you let it sink in. And this was for a Toyota RAV4. So when I got this quote over, let's see, move this over so you can see. It has the residual value. They call it the lease and purchase option, but that's the residual value for the 36-month lease right there, $18,838. And then it gives me the payment was zero down, $583.84, and then it just gives me the vehicle price. Now, if you remember, we actually need the total price of the car, not just the residual value, not just the selling price. We need the price with the taxes, the fees, everything included, and they didn't give it to us. A lot of times when you get quotes, you'll get a full breakdown along the right-hand side that'll actually give you the selling price, MSRP, the total price. They call it the out-the-door price with all the fees included, and you'll see that. I actually had a quote like that previous. Let's look at one of our previous examples. It looks like this over here, where it had like the selling price up here and then the taxes, the fees and everything, and then the total price at the bottom. But this quote over here that we're working with, they didn't give us that. And that's okay. Just like before, if the dealership hasn't given us something we need to do our calculations, we just send a very simple email over to them. And in this case, I did. I just said, thank you for the quote. Can you please confirm the total price of the car, including taxes and fees? So if you don't have that on your quote, which it's not here, just send a simple email. Can you please tell me that amount, total price? And the same thing applies if they gave you the total price, but not the residual, which was the case on that other quote. I would just send an email saying, thank you for the quote. Can you please provide me the residual value for this car? Whatever I need, I send an email and ask for it. So then I got the answer back. The actual total price with everything included was $32,570. So we're going to do the exact same thing we did before. We're going to take the total price, $32,570, minus the residual they gave us, $18,838. And then we're going to get a depreciation amount of around $13,731. So we got to pay the car down from $32,000 down to $18,000, and that's $13,731 that has to be paid to the car. Then we're going to take our payment they quoted us was zero down, $583.84 times 36 months. And we're going to get the total amount we're actually going to pay over the 36 months, which is $21,000. So you see, you have to pay the car down by $13,700, but you're actually paying $21,000 total. So you subtract those two, $21,018 minus $13,731. And just like the previous example, you're getting a total rent charge of $7,286.50. So we go one step further, $72.86 divided by 36 months on the lease, and that gives us a total monthly rent of $202 per month that the bank wants. So this bank too wants $7,200 for you to drive this car. This might not be a great lease deal. I don't know how much farther you can get the dealer down on the price to get your payment down, but with that amount of rent being charged, it's not a great lease deal at all. So that's how you can kind of figure out, using those three numbers, how much of the payment each month goes to the leasing company. So it's like I kind of said, high rent charge means the leasing company is not supporting the lease program for this vehicle. And you may want to look for a different model or a different vehicle. Any rent over $100 a month is high. So, if you're paying, $100 times 36 months is $3,600 that you're paying to the leasing company or the bank to get approved for the car. So, once you're over that, it's going to be hard. It's hard to call that a good lease deal because so much of the payment is actually each month is going to the finance company. Just as an example, and I don't want you guys to think that this is what you're shooting for, but I just wanted to kind of show you what's possible and how it can work out there. Is I actually leased a Honda HRV in 2021. And when I did this calculation, I was only charged $3.38 a month in rent. Multiply that by the 36-month contract. The total rent charge was $122 total for the entire 3 years, $3 a month. So that just shows you, not that you're going to find that type of deal in the current market, but it shows you that leasing companies and finance companies are willing to make very little when they're interested in supporting the lease deals, and they want to move cars and move inventory, and you find a car that they're supporting the lease program on, the rent can be very low. So, you're looking at rents of $7,000, $5,000, $4,000. That's high. something much lower than that is preferable. That's how you can actually find a better deal, is finding the leasing company that's charging less rent. So high rent is a good reason to shop for another model, because sometimes it's model to model. Maybe the same leasing company is supporting leasing on a different model, so you may be able to stay with the same brand and just shop for a different type of car. You can do this calculation to try and figure out if they're supporting leasing on a different model within that same brand, or like I said, just completely switch brands, go to another company, another manufacturer, getting quotes from them. But the whole point of this, all of these tools, is to help you decipher what's a good deal, what's a bad deal, make a decision from home, and just keep shopping until you find something that has the numbers that work for you. All right, that's the end of this lesson. I'll see you in the next one.